Yo, Howse. Ain't no stopping this podcast from dropping. We're here to get that work. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In Your House, and of course, I am your director, Hollywood House, and you already know them vibes. When we slide on through, we here to get that work, round the clock when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And guys, you already know how we do it, and we give it to you. When we give it to you when you're in your house, when you're in the car, maybe you making towns, maybe you on the plane, maybe you waiting for your match, maybe you need to just pop us in your ears and let us give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And guys, that is exactly what we've done. It's been almost 5 years, y'all. You guys know them vibes. In Your House is always gonna bring you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And guys, I took a couple of weeks off. You know that summer vacation vibe, baby. You know, I was out here having to get this work. But the last time that you did hear me, well, I did a really cool Hell in a Cell watch along with my son. We watched Foley versus Undertaker, and that was a vibe. Putting on my 13-year-old son to some unmitigated violence. But if you want to hear me talk about what's going on currently in the professional wrestling business, I need you to head on over to a different podcast that I produce, and that is The Pope's Point of View, hosted by former WWE, TNA, and NWA star, the Pope Elijah Burke. I stepped in for my man. He had a big show this past week in the Great American Clash over there in Jacksonville, Florida. I talked about a lot of different things. I talked about the LA Night Effect. I talked about SmackDown. I talked about Monday Night Raw. I talked about Dynamite. And guys, you already know, Pope is going to be back this week with Pollo Del Mar, and they're going to break down everything. You know, SummerSlam is coming up, All In, All Out coming up, all kinds of different things going down in the professional wrestling business. But before I get into this great episode, I got to quickly do my due diligence, and that's thank you guys. Thank you so much for making us a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts. It's truly appreciated. You guys keep us on those charts. You guys give us those 5 stars. You guys give us those reviews. And that's what motivates me. That's what motivates Hype. That's what motivates this whole team to keep on going and keep on giving y'all that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And now, the movie got to roll on, y'all. All right? You already know the movie got to roll on. And now that I'm back here in the set, here in my set, because you guys know last time I talked to y'all, I got my whole little studio situation set up. You guys know I'm sitting over here comfortable. I got the TV over here. I got the monitor over here. I got my mic. I got the lights over here. It is, I mean, when we talk about making movies over here, we seriously making movies. And guys, this episode right here, it's gonna be a movie, Daddy. I promise you that much, because Uncle Hollywood has got some tricks up his sleeve. And you've been paying attention. If you've been paying attention to my social media, you already know what I'm talking about. Now, there's a lot of things about me, all right? Real quick. There's a lot of things about me. I got a lot of different interests that I like. You know, I like wrestling, you know. The boy like hoops, you know, I love, I do a little gaming and whatnot, you already know. But one thing about me and my interest in other things that I like, man, old Hollywood loves some money. Money, yeah. And I brought some money onto this show right here because, guys, we got a guest. I know. It's been a little minute since we had a guest. But we got a guest, and it's a very, very special guest to me. I've been watching this young man since, I think it was the beginning, like very beginning of his career. I mean, he was out there. He still does what he does over there at WCWO in Indianapolis. You guys know about that. I've talked about that promotion on this show before. But I really got a chance to get to know and see this young man's work at Delaware County Championship Wrestling. If you guys are longtime listeners to the podcast, you guys know that's where I cut my teeth, where I got my first start in the business. And yeah, man, watching this young man that's that's on the show right now has been really an absolute treat. I mean, we talk about standouts. And there's a certain class in that WCWO class, and it's in my goodness. Seriously, y'all, seriously. If you guys are from the Indianapolis area, you already know. But if you're not, I could put you on game. It's seriously just an incredible class of young independent wrestlers that have came out, and now not only have they been wrestling for the last few years, now they're starting to branch out, go to different places, and we're seeing a handful of them because you guys already know. If you guys don't know, I'm going to let you know that when you get to that wrestling training, when you get through the wrestling training, and when you start taking bookings and whatnot, there's some people that strive and grow, but a lot of people fall off. And this young man did the very opposite of falling off. He stood up. And he came out, and he's out here working. I talk about the work. This young man is out here working. I've got a chance to know him from doing just a few things with him, mainly commentary with DCCW. He came through, did a little commentary with me, and when I got a chance to really get to know him, I was like, oh yeah, this cat got it. He's next up. And honestly, he's just proving me right. Guys, Uncle Hollywood loves some money, and so I'm happy to introduce onto the show the number one overall pick, and that is Blake Money Wright. How's it going, brother, man?
After hearing that introduction that you gave me, I feel great. It is nice to be, I'm going to plug the podcast real quick, in your house.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking some time out to come onto the show, man. I know that things are starting to get really busy for you, bro. You got a lot of things in the works. We're going to talk about that, but I appreciate you taking time out your schedule to come onto the show for this very special episode.
Oh, absolutely. And likewise, man. I know you're a busy guy too, so nice that I know we've been talking about this for a little while. So nice that we finally were able to put pen to paper and we were able to get this scheduled, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm super glad to have you on. Because like you said, it's been a long time coming. And since we've had those moments at DCCW, I knew that I wanted to have a more intimate conversation with you, kind of pick your brain, because some of the stuff that I've seen you do in wrestling, I'm like, oh my gosh, this cat just gets it. I mean, there's so many different vibes that you give off as far as wrestling goes. I mean, you're the one and only Blake Money Wright, but I mean, there's just so much different vibes that I get when I see you talk, when I watch you wrestle, when I see your movements, when I see your swagger. I'm like, this cat, he's going places, man. He's going places, and that's what I see when I see you, bro.
Oh, and I appreciate that, man. And yeah, I really just try to be different, man. Like that's someone who I've always been, like for example, if whatever's in style, I'll even try to do the opposite. I always just try to stand out because in a business where everything has been done, I try to at least put my own little blend and flavor on it. So
absolutely, man. You got to do that. Like you said, you got to stand out. You got to be different. You have to have that certain swag that people aren't seeing, and I think that we see that with you. So we'll go ahead and jump right into the nitty gritty, right into the brass tacks, man. You came into wrestling. What year did you come in? What year did you break in?
So my very first ever match is actually one of my tattoos was on June 26th, 2020. So
okay,
right in the middle of the pandemic is when I debuted. So I started training January of 2020. So I've been doing it now for about 3 years, which is it's not a long time, but it's so crazy to say just because I remember taking my first bumps and running the ropes and getting in the ring for the first time it was literally yesterday.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I knew it hadn't been super long, but I wasn't sure because the way that you position yourself now, it seems like you've been doing it for a lot longer. So you actually came from the world of collegiate sports, man. So you were a collegiate athlete. Why don't you tell the In Your House listeners a little bit about your background before you started training in 2020?
For sure, man. So, I'm a Hoosier, born and raised, grew up in Indiana,
Yeah.
and I just remember always as a little boy, there were two things that I wanted to do. I either wanted to be a professional football player or
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a professional wrestler. Like I never really saw myself being able to sit down and have like a 9 to 5 job. I was like,
Yeah.
man, that seems boring. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I want to do. Like I want to be something larger than life. So during high school football, I had several opportunities to go play college football, and I was like, okay, you know what, this is like one step closer to the dream,
Yeah.
of being a pro football player.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Anderson University, like here in Indiana, actually, and the big draw to go there was just that, like, my dad would be able to come and see me play every Saturday because like
Yeah.
that always meant the world to me, right?
Yeah.
And after playing college football for a few years, man, like, because I thought like, okay, like this, like I really need this to be my dream. Like, I saw myself kind of like losing like my passion and my interest for it because of professional wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
I remember after like my junior year of playing college football, we usually had like our exit meetings, right? And we just
Yeah.
got a new head coach at this time. And during the exit meetings, they're usually like, okay, hey, like you're going to be like, they were telling me like, hey, you're going to be the middle linebacker next year again. You're going to be starting next year again. Keep your GPA up, maybe gain this many pounds, like, try to get your 40 time down to this, like stuff like that. Right. And I let my
Yeah.
coach like say all what he wanted to say, my new coach. And he's like, all right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you next year. And I already went into that like meeting knowing that I was going to tell him that I was going to, quit playing college football. Like I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So after he said all his piece, I looked him dead in the eyes and I was like, Coach Sala, like I really appreciate the opportunity to play for this university and represent this school, but I no longer wish to play college football. And he looked at me like I had like 3 heads, right? And I was like, oh man, like this isn't good. And he kind of looked upset, like he was a bald guy, like veins were popping out of his head. I was like, oh man, like I'm about to get torn to shreds. But instead, he just like looked at me so baffled, and he was just like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Well, I was like, I'm gonna stay in school." He's like, "But what are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Okay." I was like, I'm just gonna tell him. I was like, "I'm gonna be a professional wrestler." And he laughed, and he's like,
Wow.
"All right." Yeah, and he's like, and he laughed at my face, and I was like, and I remember that, like the chip like developed on my shoulder, like right then and there,
Yeah.
because that was the first ever person I ever told, like ever, like, "Hey, I'm gonna go be a pro wrestler," and
Yeah.
like actually meant it. And so his last words to me, he's like, "All right, well, call me when you wake up, Blake." And I shut his office door, and I was like, "I'm never gonna call you again." I was like, "You're gonna see me on TV one day. You're gonna
Yeah.
see me main event pay-per-views. You're gonna see me win championships. Like you're gonna see me, and then like I'll call you, maybe when my professional wrestling career is over and tell you how good it is." But like I'm a very like chip on the shoulder kind of guy, so
Yeah.
that's and then after that, like the rest was history. So like, I was like a big, bulky, like chubby football player when all that
Mm-hmm.
happened. So I finished school and I was like, okay, if I'm going to be a wrestler, I need to look like a wrestler. So I'm going to lose all this weight. I'm going to try to get to the best shape that I can possibly get in.
Yeah.
And then like the second I graduate, I'm going to start wrestling. And that's exactly what I did. And yeah, the rest is kind of history there, as they say. Well, not history. That's when the hard work actually really began.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that, man. I mean, there's always that situation I feel like with somebody who's chasing their dream that there was somebody there, whether it be a coach or with a lot of people it's like a teacher that says you're never going to amount to anything, which I'm a firm believer in. Teachers shouldn't be saying that to students. Like, my God, like
No, not at all.
you
Not at
shouldn't be
all.
saying that to students, but I understand why that's a driving force in an athlete's goal to become a football player, basketball player, professional wrestler. For you, it was a professional wrestler. So let me ask you this, dog. Like, during your tenure, during your time as a football player, and
Yeah.
you kind of feel that passion kind of leaving, like for football, and that passion for wrestling starting to grow. What was the driving force in watching and feeling those passions switch up? Were you just a little bit tired of football? Were you kind of just spinning wheels playing football at that time? Were you watching a lot of wrestling and feeling inspired? What garnered those feelings and switching, like, hey, Even though I'm here, I'm in college doing what I wanted to do in college playing football. I don't feel like I want to do this anymore. Something's changed. What was that catalyst that changed for you?
So I mean, like, uh, it wasn't. It was kind of like, because I would always like keep tabs, on wrestling, and I would still watch wrestling. Like I would always watch Monday Night Raw. I'd always watch
Yeah,
SmackDown. I'd always watch pay-per-views. Like I was a huge fan, and I still am. And any wrestlers listening, it's okay to say you're a fan of it. Like
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah,
And because I always hate when wrestlers get into it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not a fan." It's like, come on now. But the catalyst, like the driving moment, I mean, like it was kind of like a slow, gradual, like increase. Like I remember I started like watching a lot of Ric Flair. Like
okay, okay,
it all started like when his 30 for 30 came out,
yeah,
and I saw like a lot of parallels between me and Nate. And
yeah,
I've never met the guy. I will meet him one day. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to meet him one day. And I remember like watching his 30 for 30, right? And I
yeah,
was like, and I got the nickname in college that they would call me Johnny Football, because like, oh my gosh, you're like Johnny Manziel, because like, on Friday nights, like you'll go out and you'll party, and like, you'll drink a lot of beer, you'll have a lot of fun. But guess what? On Saturday mornings, you still show up and you still ball out on the field, and you go and
yeah,
you party again. And I was like, okay.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm Johnny Manziel. So that's actually where the money. That's and fun fact, that's where the money came in, because a lot of
Okay,
my college
okay,
teammates would call
okay.
me Money,
Yeah,
because like Money Manziel. So I was like, okay, I was like, I'm Blake Money Wright. Like that was decided even before I wrestled. I was like, all right, that's what we're gonna go for, to give my
that's
teammates a
cool.
good laugh.
That's cool.
And but yeah, so like, and then I watched Ric Flair 30 for 30, right? And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, Ric Flair was like just like me. Like he wore number 32 when he played college football. I wore number 32 and I played college football. And that was like a weird, like, I was like, okay, that's a weird coincidence. And then like it talked about how like he was always out partying, like he was always, just going hard, like just, living like the stereotypical jock's dream.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. I was like, I think I'm Ric Flair. And then like I started watching, and then like I got in trouble like one time, like when playing college football, because like we were supposed to watch like X amount of hours a week for film.
Sure.
And I was like,
Sure.
okay. And I was consistently not getting them, and it's because like on YouTube I saw like this like 8 hour compilation video of Ric Flair promos, and
Yeah.
I was so enamored by it that like I was just watching Ric Flair promos than like instead of watching film. And I just kind of like realized like, man, if I'd rather watch Ric Flair talk than like get ready for my next game or get ready for my next opponent, if I'd rather watch wrestling, I was like, I think I'm done. Like
Yeah.
I think I'm done with college football. Like I don't want to do this. Like because like I would stay up like all night, literally just watching wrestling from
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
10 p.m. all the way until 7:30 in the morning, and then I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go to my 8 a.m. Like it was. So like it was a slow, gradual thing, and I just realized like my love for professional wrestling was way bigger than college football, and I just felt like college football was holding me back from my dreams. And like, dude, I never wanted to be that guy on my couch at like 60 years old looking at my grandkids being like, oh man, like did a lot of cool things, but I always wanted to be a wrestler, but I could never do it. Like I never wanted to put myself like in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. So instead of watching film, you find yourself watching a lot of Ric Flair promos, which is interesting because I do see the parallels between you two even before you said that.
Yeah. Well, good.
So it means you're doing your job. But
Oh, for sure.
so you tell your coach you're done. You're done with this. The next
Yeah.
chapter starts for Blake Wright.
Yeah.
What point did you realize, not really realize, but at what point did you start looking into like training? Did you start looking into, okay, now I need to start looking the part, but now I got to find some place to train. I got to find some place to hone this craft if I'm going to seriously prove these people wrong and show them I'm
Yeah.
going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, so like essentially like right when I got like because I was like I was looking into it, and I like learned how expensive it was to like get into the business, and I'm like, okay, I need to start making money.
Yeah.
So like I got my big boy job, and I just started shooting out messages to so many places, And like I didn't know really where to begin, so I would just like start messaging like random wrestling promotions,
Yeah.
all across the state, all across the Midwest, just being like, "Hey, like my name is Blake Wright. I just got done playing college football. I'm 6 foot. I weigh this much. I want to be a professional wrestler like more than anything." And like so many places like just left me on red because I was like doing it
Mm.
through like Facebook Messenger and through Instagram, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, I was like, this kind of sucks. So then like, and I lived in Fishers at the time, and I saw that a promotion by the name of White River Wrestling was still was like ran there a couple years ago at the Pinheads Bowling Alley.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I was like, let me message him again. So I messaged him a second time, left on red. Then a third time I messaged them, then they finally read it. And a gentleman by the name of Jake Oman messaged
Jake
me
Owen,
back, and
yep.
he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "currently," and it was so cool how I messaged it. He's like, "currently right now I'm in Japan," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It's like I love watching Japanese wrestling. I was
Yeah.
like, "That's awesome." And he's like, "I'm gonna get back in a couple of weeks." He's like, "If you want to meet up at the Subway on State Road 37 in Fishers, I'd be happy to grab lunch with you and like talk to business with you." And I was like, holy crap, like I'm in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then, yes, then we had a conversation over lunch. I was like too nervous to like and too anxious and too excited to even eat. I think I got a foot long and I maybe took like one bite out of it the entire time. And then so then after that, I like rode to shows with him for a little bit because he's
Yeah.
like, hey man, like let's make sure this is something because he's like, I don't train people. That was like his big thing. Like, have
Yep.
you ever seen the movie Creed?
I have.
So like when Adonis is trying to convince like Rocky Balboa to train him, and he's
Yeah.
like, no, and then like
Yes.
Adonis has to put in like all this work to show like, hey, I have a passion for this. I
I
really
want to
want
do
you to
this.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then like so riding the shows with him, driving him to various places, buying him meals. Finally, he was like, all right, I'm gonna train you, and I'm like, all right, let's go. So
Cool.
yeah, so then and that's when like the training really began. But I had to like Adonis Creed my way into the business
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's interesting, man. Jake, yeah, he's somebody that I haven't got a chance to have too many experiences with him, but when I do, he's always been cool to me. So,
Yeah,
and,
for
and
sure.
I know he's out there training in White River. I know he's been
Yep.
doing some traveling recently. I know he was going around. I believe it was with the veteran Jack Vaughn. I think he did a few. Took a few international bookings and took him with them. So yeah, he's really out here, man. I guess my question is, now you've got Jake. You had Jake train you once you kind of had to prove that it's really what you wanted to do. At what
Yeah.
point did you link up with WCWO? Joey Owens and that squad. At what point did Blake Money Wright become there and become pretty much a staple on Friday nights?
Yeah, so like right after right after I had my first match, I wrestled Jake Oman on a Friday at RCW up in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay, yep, I know where that's at.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and like I had my first match that night and like it was great. Like it went off without a hitch. Like I thought I was gonna like the only thing that was wrong is that I forgot to wear my ring jacket to the ring. Other than that, like,
Oh,
and like right when I went through the curtain, I was like, "Oh no, my ring jacket!" And then like if you watch the film back, you can like see me like nervously like act like I'm gonna turn around. I'm like, "Oh wait, no, I can't." Like I'm already in front of the curtain. Like I
yeah,
gotta
I'm
go.
already here. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that happened, right? And then I was like, okay. And then the next Saturday we wrestled at like some like American Legion of some sort.
Okay.
And and I tore my PCL in my second match.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was literally just doing like a simple like quarter roll and like I do this reversal where like I do a quarter roll, I jump up and I kick the guy's hands. I still do it to this day. Something that
Yeah.
I've done like dozens of times. And that's when I hurt my knee. So then after tearing my PCL, luckily I didn't have to have surgery. So I was like off for like 6 weeks and like I was like, man, this is not good.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I was like, I need to like a second as I get cleared, I need to work all the freaking time. And I was like, I need to fill up this calendar. And so then I was talking to Jake. I was like, okay. I was like, how would you feel about me working Friday nights in WCWO? Just because they run every Friday, it fills up my calendar. I'm booked 56 times a year now because they're running every Friday. So I just
Yeah.
thought it was an easy way. And, that was like right around the time when like there were some hard times involving WCWO. So like I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get his permission and make sure. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like that's totally something that you should do. And then like really like after my first match at WCWO, I worked Damon Reel of the highlight reel.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, had a match against him. And then they just kept inviting me back. And like I shot a message to Joey, like right before I went there, and he's like, yeah, man, bring your gear, this and that. Show starts at this time. Come on down. And like I was really there like every single Friday, like up until like the last like 5, 6 months of my career when like I have to use Fridays as travel days now to make shows,
Yeah.
which is a blessing. I've been there. That's my first home. Like the 1151 tattooed above my left knee is for WCWO. Like
Yes, I've
it'll
seen that
always
tattoo. Yeah, I
yeah,
saw when you
it'll always
posted
be a
it.
home. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll always be home to me.
That's interesting, man, because like you said, there was a few hard times with WCWO, but there was such loyalty from that specific class that you were in, and really, I mean, so many of you guys have thrived. I mean, just absolutely thrived. We'll definitely get into that.
Yeah.
So you're at WCWO now. You become a staple on Friday nights. At some point, you actually took over the company, which
Yeah.
I thought was like that always stuck out to me because I was on the edge of my seat seeing the next thing you was gonna do when it was Blake Money Wright's WCWO. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and how that
Yeah.
transpired, because that was good stuff, man.
Oh, dude, thank you. And like, so my time at WCWO, I think like I left there. I started there as a green kid and I know I'm still green. I know there's gonna be some veterans like, oh, he's only been in the business for 3 years, but I think I went in as a green kid, and I think I left as like a pro.
Yeah,
So like, and it's a big thanks to Joey. I call Joey Pops. He's my wrestling
yeah,
dad.
yeah,
And many of us call him Dad or something. I just don't call him Dad because I don't disrespect my dad. So he's Pops to me.
yeah,
And so yeah. So anyways, so like he put the heavyweight championship on me like 3 months into my career, and I had that for like pretty much my entire first year in the business. So like I was like king good guy there. Like I was the face of the company. Like I was always smiling, being this like good guy, right?
yeah,
And I was usually booked everywhere as a baby face. And I was like, okay, so after I lost the title, I was like, okay, like I want to take like a couple weeks off before like the next move. So like right before, and I knew I was planning on taking that time off. I wanted to like, set the company up for success.
yeah,
So I was like,
yeah,
okay. I was like, it was me and Dex Royal. Dex Royal does a lot of cool moves. He does more, he's a lot more flips than me, like a lot more high flying stuff. Like the crowd wants to cheer him.
yeah,
So I was like, you know what? Like I think I'm gonna take a little time away from here, just to kind of like give the fans a break, because they've been seeing me in the main event scene for the entire first year. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna like let's do a little turn here. Like let's turn me into a bad guy towards the end of my run. Let's make Dex the good guy so the company's good to go. And so they went for that. So then after I lost, I was kind of like asking myself, I was like, man, like, what really is there left to do? Because I was like,
yeah,
I climbed the top of the mountain, like I was there, and it's an independent promotion. So I was like, what's next? But I was like,
yeah,
I wasn't ready to like shut the door on it entirely. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, when I come back, they're going to be excited to see me. Like, because, that was the first time that like I wasn't there for a few weeks.
yeah,
And so I was like, I was like, I want to feud with Joey as the heel. Because I was like, because Joey wasn't regularly wrestling then. I was like, I want to work Joey as a heel. And so, like, the first, like, promo exchange that we had, which is, like, one of my favorite wrestling moments, like, they literally told me, like, right before I go through the curtain, like, Reggie and Brian, like they're like from creative, they're like, we want you to like cut kind of like a work shoot promo, and I'm like, yeah, I got you, because like I grew up like many kids, like I loved punk, like
yeah,
that was my guys.
yeah,
Okay, I was like, I gotta, I kind of get to put my fan hat on here, and I gotta get it like drop like a pipe bomb. So I was like, all right,
yeah,
like let's do it. This will be fun. And so me and Joey kind of had this like verbal exchange, and like it was getting like really, really personal, and it was like getting really good, and like the crowd was just eating up every second of it. And then like out of nowhere one day Joey gives me a call and he's like, "Hey, like let's make the like take this to the next level." Because like we were playing a cat and mouse game where I was like, "I don't want to wrestle you. Like I don't need to wrestle you. Like I don't need to prove myself against you." He's like, "Okay, well what if I put the company on the line?" And I'm like, all right. And I thought like, okay, like no way, I'm gonna get it. Like this is a cool little like send off for me. Like
Yeah.
this will be fun. And then we have the match, and I know that my name's underlined before going through, and I'm like, all right, let's run with it. And so like I won the match, and it was just like chaos. And I feel like that was like where I really learn like storytelling and professional
Yeah.
wrestling, and like
Yeah.
and where it's like, hey, you know what, like in the end usually the good guy wins, but sometimes Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl a lot, so it's like, okay, I was like, this is like my Brady run. So like we were like just teasing it. Like I was firing people like at one point to set up a few while Joey was taking time off to for the injuries he suffered in our match. Like to set up a match with like Hillbilly Jed. Like
Yeah.
I was getting ready to fire Reggie back when Reggie was a good guy, and I kicked him in the nuts. And they gave me the idea. They were like, "Well, why don't you like pour gasoline on him and act like you're gonna light him on fire?"
Oh
And
man.
everyone's gonna go crazy, and then Jed comes out for the big save, and I'm like, okay. And fun fact about that one, this is why I thought it was so funny. So there's a guy by the name of Phil who's like kind of the right hand man there that takes like all the ring jackets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I saw a gasoline canister. There's actually a gasoline inside. I was like, hey man, can you go wash this out? Like this and that, yada yada yada. And he's like, yeah, I got you, I got you. I'm like, okay. So then, and like they're supposed to fill it with water. So then, like we're doing it, and I go and get the canister that was supposed to be cleaned out, and I pour it on him. And as I pour it on him, I just smell gasoline right away.
Oh snap.
And, and I'm wearing, oh bro, and I'm wearing like, 'cause it's in the winter, so I'm wearing like a cloth hoodie,
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, here's the part where I have to like light the match because that's when like Jed's supposed to come out. Like as I'm lighting the match, I'm like, man, I'm wearing like cloth, like this is just gonna like light up on fire like none
Yeah.
other.
Oh
Jed
my
doesn't come
gosh.
out. So then luckily Jed came out. But yeah, poor Reggie though. He had to suffer smelling like gasoline during all that.
Oh
But
no.
but it was like that was one of my and I me and Reggie still joke about it to this day. And then someone
That's
actually had to
cool.
wrestle because I was like the that was a segment before the main event. So someone actually had to go and wrestle in a ring canvas that reeked of gasoline. So I was like, I'm sorry guys, like
Oh, it
that
sucks.
wasn't like that was just happened. Like my bad guys. But it was fun, man. Like there were so many like layers to it. Like at Christmas, everyone thought he was going to be able to win it, and his son comes out. Everyone thinks like, oh, his son's going to come out to help his dad win the company back, and then
Yeah.
turns out his son turns on his own father, and because I paid
Great,
him
great
off.
stuff. Great
Yeah,
stuff.
because I like it was like old school stuff, and then finally when he gets the company back, like because there's money in the chase and everything,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's a big reaction. So that was a lot of fun, man. Like, and my dad, he always thought I was a great like good guy, but my dad, like he's like, man, he's like, you're just such a great villain. Like my dad was so proud of it. Like he would like show his coworkers and everyone that he knows, like, look at this, my son has his own wrestling promotion. He's this big villain. Like
That's
I
awesome.
think that was really where my dad became a fan of me.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I gotta say, man, when I was watching some of those videos that you guys would cut when you were running the company, I was like, my God, this guy's an absolute bastard, and I love it.
Oh, it was so fun. And like, yeah, because like I never like because like no companies would ever book me as a bad guy. And then like after that happened, like everyone was like, okay, you're our new villain. Like we need you to
Yeah.
work this guy. And, like then like that's what like when it just got like that's like really what helped me out because like next thing I know, like I'm working like TJP. I'm working Heath
Yeah.
Slater, like I'm working
Yes.
all these like big names as a bad guy. Because usually, whenever a company brings in, a WWE or a TV guy, they put him up against the number one bad guy. So like,
Yeah.
I got so many opportunities from that because so
That's
many people are
awesome.
like, okay, when should be a villain? We're gonna bring in this guy, yada yada yada. And it was just it was an amazing time in my career for sure. Like I had a lot of fun doing it.
Dope as hell, man. Dope as hell. I love to hear it. And yes, I do remember. I do remember some of those matches that you had, and following that and everything. And I'm like, man, this cat is just doing it. And like during that time, like that's I think around that time is when you were starting to give me those MJF vibes, because I was like, man, this dude, he's got it. Like he plays the heel so well, and I just as soon as I saw that, I was like, in my own mind to myself, I was like, that's his lane. That's his lane right there, bro. And you play it so well. You play it so well.
Thank you. Yeah, and like that's where like, and I just like it felt like natural to me, you know,
Yeah.
just because I was like, yeah, like I'm the number one overall pick. Like I
Yep.
don't need to pay dues when I'm this talented. Like this
Right.
is who I am. Like, and
Right.
it just like because like, and I think like the crowd would get into it so relatable because I feel like everyone has kind of went to high school with that one dude who would sleep during class and would get in fights in the hallway and
Yeah.
would still win prom king and everybody still loved him and he would always get bailed out like and I was like okay because I was like I feel like wrestling's at its best when it feels real and when people can relate to it and I was like okay
Yes.
like that's who I'm gonna be. And like, dude, it was just like so easy for me. And like,
Yeah.
and I hate saying that because professional wrestling is a very hard thing, but like, it was easy. Like, I was like, okay, like this is just who I am. And once I figured out who I was, like, I really got comfortable.
Yes, and from my experience of talking to so many different wrestlers, and on so many different levels, it's always been a thing, man, where it's like you have the best success when you are yourself turned up times 10, and I think that's
Oh,
what you
for sure.
figured out.
Oh yeah, because I mean like when people ask me like whenever like new students show up at WCWO, you know, they're like, "Hey, like how do you like find your character? Like it's cool, like we like it." I'm like, "Dude, like it's literally just 19-year-old me in college."
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's all it is. Like the only difference is like now I wear some chains and jewelry and listen to better music, but other than that, like it's still 19-year-old Blake.
yeah, man, yeah. And once you figure that out, I think from once again, just watching you from the outside looking in, I'm like, man, he's figured it out. He's figured out who he is, and it's great to see it. And that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, as far as you figuring out who you are. And I mean, you got the wrestling down. I've seen you wrestle many times in person. You've got the wrestling down. But you figured out who you are as a character, and you came in with such a robust class. I mean, yeah, and we're going to talk about what you've been doing as far as this last year. I definitely want to talk about some promotions that you've been working with. That's very well known in the world of professional wrestling. But you came in around the same time as talents like Dex Royal, like the Highlight Reel, like Rachel Armstrong, and other talents, even like Zay Gates and whatnot. Like, what do you speak like? How does it feel knowing that not only did you come in, I mean, like as far as WCWO goes, to me, that feels like the LeBron draft class of WCWO. And
Right.
like you were right in there in the mix of that. And not only were you in the mix of that, you're thriving. How does it feel knowing that you've come and grinded with names like that, and now you guys are all doing your own thing respectively and finding success?
I mean, it's awesome, you know, because like now I'm at the point in my career where like I never try to be the best guy in the locker room, right? Because like I always want to be a little uncomfortable, right? But
Yeah,
like that was such a great thing for like early me because like I saw how talented like the twins and Dex and Rach and Zay and Logan and Dutch
yeah,
Boy
oh
and
yeah,
I'm sure I'm forgetting some others, but like I was like, all right, I was like, F y'all. Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to be the first one to win heavyweight championship. And I was. And I was
yeah,
like, all right. And then I was like, and even after I lost the belt, I was like, F y'all, I'm still in the main event. Like
yeah,
I don't need a championship to be in the main event. Like, and it just put that like chip on, because I've always been a chip on the shoulder guy. Like ever since my
yeah,
college football coach told me that, like any locker room I'm in, like yeah, like I'm cool, I'm friendly, I'm professional with everybody, but
Yeah,
like, dude, deep inside, like, nah, I'm the main. Like, I want to be the main event. Like, I want to
yeah,
be front and center on the poster. Like, I don't care. Like that's always how I've been. So like, it started like a good, healthy competition with all of us, and I
yes,
think that's what like pushed us all to like be so good. Like seeing like what Rach is doing. Like that's
incredible.
inspiring, bro.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, and it like, I'm like, all right, like, yeah, I need to get my weight up. I need to be doing stuff like this. And I think it does it for everybody. So like, it was good, man, because like, that's when like I learned, I was like, okay, I was like, yeah, I got to be the hardest worker in the room. Like, and I got to be getting the biggest reactions because like, I'm a big reaction guy. Like, here's the thing,
yeah.
like, am I someone that does flips and air flying stuff? Like, no, because I believe in the storytelling, right? Like,
Oh, I
that's my
love it,
lane,
love it,
But like
love
for
it.
me, like my thing, dude, like I just want to take fans on an emotional roller coaster, and I want them to be louder than ever. Like, I want to have the loudest match every night.
Yes.
And yeah, like, but yeah, no, all in all, man, like it was great being in the class like that. And I think it's amazing to see what everyone's doing. And like, it was the best thing that could have happened to me very young and early in my career. Cause I think a lot of people like thought like, and I've heard this from some other wrestlers, like, oh, like, that you had it easy, you got to work these names early on in your career and you got all these titles. It's like, no, I had to earn that though. Like I had to earn
Yeah,
that every single night. It just wasn't
yeah,
handed to me. Like because I don't think like because like when I got to WCWO, man, like I wasn't a WCWO trainee at that time.
yeah,
Am I
yeah,
now? Yeah, but like. Dude, like I feel like I kind of had to like work even harder. I was like, nah, man, like I wasn't supposed to be not to be cheesy, but like I was supposed to be the number one overall pick there.
yeah,
I forced my way to being that person. So
yeah. No, I feel it, man, because like the cream always rises to the top, right? Like, and
right.
I think that's kind of what we see. And like I said, Rach doing amazing things. Dutch Boy doing amazing
Sure.
things. I get a chance to see Logan anytime I run into him at Destination Six. He's doing amazing things. Dex, the twins, doing great things. But man, and not to say that you're doing better than them or they're doing better than you, because everybody's
Right.
journey is
Yeah, yeah.
different in wrestling. It's a different journey for
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
everybody. But
Yeah.
we see you. You know what I'm saying? Like we see you out here grinding. We see you out here taking those gym pics, and you've had just a transformation of your body. I mean, honestly, dog, you look
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
You look
Oh,
incredible.
dude, thank you. Yeah. And
It
dude, that was honestly like that, I think was like the thing that really helped me out the most, man. Cause like I always like I always knew because like in my mind, like a wrestler has to have like these three things, right? Like you gotta be able to talk, you gotta be able to have in ring, and you gotta look the part.
yeah
And I felt like the first like 2.5 years of my career, I got two out of the three things. And I knew like the reason why, because like I would hear from these promotions, like, man, like we want to use you, but like you don't look the part. And that's hard to hear. Like that's brutal.
yeah
They're like, yeah,
yeah.
like, like you got a good looking face, but like you kind of have an average looking body, dude. And
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, all right. Like, so like, right, like my little New Year's resolution this year, like I hate that it took me 2.5 years to realize it. I was like, all right, man, like I really got to start transforming my body. Like that's got to be my number one priority. And like, after doing that, man, like it opened up so many more doors for me.
Yeah, man, I could definitely see that, and and once again, we're definitely going to talk about that. We still got quite a few things to talk
Oh yeah.
about,
Oh, for sure. Oh,
but
absolutely, man. I got all day. I got
it
all day. So let's do
absolutely
it.
right on, right on. But man, I just see you working, bro, and that's important. Like it's the work that's going to open the doors for you. Everything else you got to keep, you got to keep yourself motivated, which obviously you are. Obviously you're keeping yourself motivated. You're staying in the gym, you're transforming your body, you're looking great because like you said, those two, not only did you check those two boxes, like you damn near put a damn hole through the damn page checking those boxes because man
Thank
you
you.
can work,
I
you can
appreciate
talk. No,
that.
that's not a problem. I'm just keeping it real, bro. And like you got it. You got it. So now we're seeing you branch out. You're starting to go to places. You're pretty much a big time staple over there at Warrior Pro. Let's talk a little bit about you're branching out. Once you started leaving White River and WCWO and you started getting other opportunities elsewhere, how did that come about when you started kind of like, okay, time for me to how did you come to the realization, because every wrestler has to come to it, at least every wrestler that has aspirations of going much, much further. When did it become apparent to you that you were like, okay, I got to get out of my comfort zone and start going to other places and get booked other places?
So I think the first like kind of moment where I was like, all right, so like I was very lucky to like work like a lot of names that, you know, I've been on TV.
Yeah.
But Heath Slater, aka Uncle Heath, that's what I love to call him, Uncle Heath, because you know he's too old to be a dad, but he's like you know, I'm too young to be a dad, so I'm your uncle. I'm like, all right, Uncle Heath it is. So I got done wrestling him, and he's like, and this was in like October, November of like last year, and he's like, baby, he's like, you got it. He's like, man, he's like, dude, if you get in shape, he's like, you're gonna get signed. He's like, you got it, man. He's like, you have everything. He's like, you just gotta get a body, man. He's like, if you get a body, it's over. Because he's like, that's the first thing they look at. It's like, okay, you know, okay, does he look the part? Okay, great. Now we'll actually watch him wrestle. You know, you have to pass the eye test, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right. It's like that kind of like, you know, lit a light bulb off in my head. I'm like, all right, let's give it a try. And so then like I just realized like, all right, man, I was like, I have done everything in this state that I want to do, you know? So I was like, I got friends all over the country. I was like, I need to get over to the East Coast, because I feel like right now the East Coast, like, dude, it's a hotbed, you know. Like you got GCW and CZW there. Like there's always something going on over there. So I'm like, all right, like I need to go over there, you know. So I would drive to CZW, you know, 12 hours, just hoping that I would get an opportunity, and I would. And then I would drive back home, and I would always lose money on those, right? Like always, dude. Like, and I would be going for it, and I was just like taking those risks. And I was like, okay, like, even if I'm not booked, you know, like, I'm just going to go. Like, I'm just going to go. Like, and like, just to say, hey, you know what? My name's Blake Money Wright. And, like, damn it, like, I'm going to be one of your guys one day. Like, I want to be here. Yeah. And, like, it just started paying off, you know? Like, I was very, like, happy with it, man. Because, like, I was always, like, whenever those companies told me no, like, 2.5 years, like, I would kind of just be like, man, screw them. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, I was being very immature and very naive, and like I was like very angry because like I would see like some people get a spot and I'd be like, man, I'm better than them. Like, why are they getting that opportunity? Why am I like jealousy like would kind of seep in, and it really like consumed me. And like, man, like once I'll be real, like there were like moments where I'd like pray to God, like, man, like what am I doing wrong, right? And then like one day I just kind of like told myself like, you know what? Like, I'm going to stop questioning God. I'm going to stop questioning life. Like, I'm just going to like trust God's plan, you know, like right now, if someone was like, Blake, if you could have one conversation with God, like, what would you ask him? And I'd be like, you know, I don't want to ask him anything. Like, I just want to tell him thank you and that I trust your plan. And like, once I started having that, man, like, so many blessings like started happening, you know, like, okay, hey, now you're CZW every month, and like, oh, hey, now these promotions are like reaching out to me instead of me reaching out to them, and like that's such a blessing. And like I've just learned just to like, I know my character doesn't say this, but the real me speaking, like I gotta remain humble, man, and like just gotta trust God's plan and trust God's doing. And like I'm very, very fortunate because like I know what it's like to be told no many, many times. So like once I got that first yes, like I've learned is to always be appreciative. I'm always going to give it 100%, and like, you know, I'm just going to leave it all in the ring.
That's right, man. I love to hear it. I love to hear that, man. You're out there. You're keeping it humble, man. That's just a good. I mean, for any of y'all that are listening to this that are aspiring to become a professional wrestler, that maybe watch Blake Wright, just listen to the words that he's saying, man. You know, promise to never fumble, get money, and stay humble, and always remember that there's beauty in the struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Well, dude. Oh, Jake Cole's my guy, man. Yeah, there's beauty in the struggle, and there's ugliness in the success too. Yeah, got to finish that bar. Like there is ugliness in the success for sure.
Yep.
But like, but yeah, man, just stay humble. Like, because, like, dude, like, when I worked those names, like, just to be vulnerable, just to be real, like, when I was working those names, man, like, it got to my head a little bit. Getting that early success, it did.
Yeah.
And I never, like, stopped and smelled the roses. And I never stopped, and, like, wow, like, this is awesome. Like, this is, like, I'm wrestling Shannon Moore tonight. This is a guy that my sister had a crush on. Like, like, this is crazy. Like, and now it's just like, I'm always, like, very appreciative. Like anytime I step inside the ring or anytime I do something cool, like now I've learned like, okay, stop, take a deep breath. Like look at the crowd, like look at the CZW turnbuckle cover, look at the camera that's being like streamed and shown on TV now. Like now it's like I've learned to like appreciate all those moments.
Absolutely, man. And let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it because I know me personally, and I'm with you, man. I'm the type of person, me. I appreciate every little thing that I've gotten in this business. I'm not a wrestler like you. More so, a character, commentary, and a manager and whatnot. But still, I've been forwarded a lot of opportunities. But let's talk about you and your opportunities with CZW now. This isn't something that should just be like, to me, this isn't something that should just be just mulled over, because I know, I keep it honest. When I saw that you were working with CZW, bro, I about jumped out my damn chair. I mean, seriously. I'm like, yo, bro, I was hitting up with CZW, because come on, CZW, this is a name that has seen much talent run through it. Just to name a few: AJ Styles, Alex Shelley, The Amazing Red, Austin Aries, CM Punk, MJF, Chris Hero, Chris Sabin, Claudio Casanova. I can keep going. There's just so many names that's been in there. And now you can add Blake Money Wright to that list of fantastic talent that's come through CZW. What has that been like for you, man? I know you said you were driving there 12 hours just to get an opportunity. Now we're starting to see you in matches and see you getting opportunities. What has the CZW experience been like for you, dog?
Oh, dude, it's been amazing. Like, cause like I remember like the first time like I was there. And like I was like, man, I was like, MJF has been here, like, and like the same thing, like Claudio's been there, Sami Zayn's been there, like
Yeah.
the list. I'm like, wow, I was like, Adam Cole's been there, like I'm at the place where like all those dudes have been.
Yes.
So like I was really blown away, right? Like I always have butterflies when I go through the curtain, but like the butterflies were like the sizes of like a bald eagle. Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw up. Like this is crazy. And it's just it was surreal, man. Like it
Yeah.
was really cool. Like making my entrance and like hearing my name get said, and then like seeing my name be shown across the graphic. I was like, holy crap! I was like, all right, like we're doing it, and it's been like so amazing. Like and that was like a big thing too to like inspire me too, man. Because like I felt like for like the longest time, like I see the independents as kind of like a minor league baseball system. Like, yes, they're all independent promotions, but like there's levels to it. There's
Yeah.
single
Oh
A
yeah.
ball, there's double A ball, there's triple A.
Yeah.
And like that was my first ever like, okay, I'm playing triple A baseball now.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, like and like and there's levels to it. So it's like, okay, like you know what? Like now it's a lot harder. Like now I'm not in the double A's and single A's where like a fastball is 92 miles an hour. Like now I'm in triple A baseball where sliders can be 98 miles an hour. They
Yep.
look like a fastball. So like I
Yep.
was like, okay, I need to get better. So like that was the big thing. I was like, okay, I was like, all these dudes have bodies. I need to have the best looking body. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like all these dudes, their cardio is on point. They do not skip a beat. Like, I need to do that. Like, okay, all these guys, they're very professional on social media. I need to do that. Like, so it was kind of like the first time I was like, okay, like I'm behind. I need to catch up so I can fit in and exceed expectations. So like it's been a blessing. Like learned so wrestling geographically, like yes, the rules are still the same, the ropes are the same dimensions, but like there's a learning curve, the bigger places that you get to. And
Yeah.
it's been amazing. Like I've enjoyed every second of it. Like DJ Hyde, the owner and promoter of CCW, like he's been a wealth of knowledge, like
Hell yeah.
he's a great guy. I'm sure I'm sure DJ's like listening to this. Thank you, DJ, for all the long phone calls that we've had of you telling me to get into the gym and to, get my character down and to, just to really hone in. So thank you for that, DJ. But it's man, it's been like, to put it all in all, like it's been surreal and it's like been a blessing, and like, I'm definitely still pinching myself over it, and I'm really blessed for all of it.
That's amazing, dog. Such an amazing thing. Like I said, when I saw you there, I was like, oh my gosh, my man has made it to CZW. And like, that's always been such a good proving ground for people to get to that next level. So like, me personally, like me being in this business, it was never for me anything that I've done in this business as far as going to different places, working with OVW, things like that. It's all been extra, but everything that I've done has always been to watch other people's success. And I know anytime I've ran into you, you've been nothing but good to me, nothing but courteous, nothing, just a good, respectful cat. So when I saw you was working CZW, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm happy for my man. And like that's going to be the same thing when one, I'm not gonna say if, I'm gonna say one because I'm speaking into existence. When you ascend and start getting into more of those upper echelon indies, alongside CZW. You know what I'm saying? So I just know that that's probably been an amazing experience for you, and probably a gateway for even more for you.
Yeah, it's been amazing, man. Like now it's just like it's crazy, man, and like I'm super happy for it. And you too, man. Like you play an important role like in the business too. So don't ever let anyone ever like tell you that. Like what you do is a huge important component part of it.
I
And
appreciate that.
it's been a blessing. But yeah, it's been a blessing, man. And like, I'm just trying to like soak it all in, and like, yeah, like it's a sink or swim environment. And, I like to think I'm learning how to swim. So it's just like, now I gotta Michael Phelps it. Now I gotta be
Yeah,
the real
yeah,
number one overall pick and
yes.
get all those gold medals. So, but yeah, man, it's been a crazy ride. Like if you told me, a couple years ago, like I would be doing the things that I'm doing now, like I would be like, all right, man, like I want to drink what you're drinking tonight. Like, what's in that cup? Like, because
What's in that? Yeah.
it's been wild for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, once again, I look forward to seeing everything that you're doing. I know you got CZW again coming up right around the corner. You're going to keep on working. Now you're starting to get those out of state bookings, which brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about.
Yep.
And like you said earlier, you're a Hoosier boy through and through. You are a man that is a proud Hoosier, a proud Indiana native. I know just the other day on your story, you saw JT was requesting a trade, and you were like, pain, pain.
Oh, dude, yeah. Broke my heart, bro. Broke my heart, man.
Man, I don't want to see him go, man. I don't want to see him go either. But I do know you've been getting a little bit of taste of that New York lifestyle, and old Blake Money Wright. I don't know, man. You and the Big Apple seem like you guys have been fitting together pretty well. What's up with that, man? I mean, I know you got those Hoosier roots and you love it. You love being here. You love where you're from and
Yeah.
everything. But you're getting that taste of the Big Apple. Is there a chance that
Yeah.
Indiana could lose the number one overall pick? Could you
Yeah.
almost pull a LeBron, as it were, and leave your home state and leave your home state and go where the grass is a little bit greener, because you seem to really like it there, man.
Yeah. It's because I'm going there like once a month now, man, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's nothing like New York City. Never say never.
yeah.
Never say never. Who knows? Maybe the BMW could stand for the BMBW could stand for Brooklyn soon, and the M could stand for Manhattan, and
Yes.
then the West, and then the W could stand for Westchester. But I love New York, man. Like I'm flying out there again bright and early on Friday morning, and
Yeah.
like one of my best friends in the entire business, Jarrett Diaz, lives there. But I'll always love Indiana. But
Yeah.
I think I'd be selling myself short here, not being truthful if I'm not considering it. Because I love the Midwest. I think because I'm very like goal oriented. Like every year, I write out a list of like goals in my notes on
Cool.
my
That's
iPhone, and
awesome.
it's like I think I've like done everything I wanted to do in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be taking my talents to Manhattan Beach. I guess we'll have to see. Keep your eyes tuned.
Hey y'all gotta keep an eye out on what old BMW has got going on next because you never know. And me personally, I wouldn't be mad at you, man, because you can still represent where you from and still ascend and climb that ladder and have those experiences. You're still a young man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're still a young man, and like I would hate personally as somebody who is a fan of growth, as a fan of elevation, evolution, I would hate to see such a talented young superstar such as yourself. Not to say there's anything wrong with Indiana. I'm here and I love it too. I'm originally from LA, but I love it here in Indiana. But I would hate to see such a
Oh, yeah.
talented young cat not take every possible opportunity he can take to better himself and put himself in positions to be the best version of himself. So me personally, and I know probably a lot of our Indiana listeners are probably cursing my name right now, but I would not be mad at all. I would not be mad at all if the number one overall pick took his talents to New York and just ascended and grew, still kept his Indiana roots with him, but became a bigger star, became such a huge star from making that move. I would love to see it. I'd hate to see it go, but I'd love to see it grow.
Yeah, and there's that saying too, man. Like if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, and
Yes.
like that's a kind of a thing, and like I always knew it, hey, my wrestling career like goes its way. Like hopefully I'm moving to Orlando, Florida one day, So like
I'd love to
I
see
knew it
it.
would
I'd
come, but
love to
like,
see it.
oh dude, more than anything. But I don't know, man. I'll do anything that it takes to take that next step. So if it means moving to New York, okay, I'll do it. If it means going to Japan, I'll be there. If it means going to Orlando, I'll be there. Because like I'd be selling myself short if I wasn't doing everything in my power to put myself in the best possible situation to succeed.
Facts. Facts. I want to see you succeed. There's a lot of us that do want to see you succeed here in this area, and as much as I know we all enjoy you, there's so many fans, so many other people in the business that enjoy you, and we'd be selfish to want you to stay. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was an opportunity out there for Blake Money Wright to go to Orlando, Florida, and do that, if there was an opportunity for Blake Money Wright to go to New York City and do that, if there was an opportunity for Blake Money Wright to go to Japan, to go to the UK, to go to these places, to hone your craft, to better yourself, to put yourself in positions to win, and not only win but become a perennial winner, we'd be selfish to not want you to do that. So I think that there's a lot of things coming up for you. I feel like and fairly soon. And I can't put a number on that. I mean, only the Almighty can. Only the Almighty knows. But I feel like fairly soon there's going to be some decisions that Blake Money Wright's going to have to make. And I know I speak for a lot of people in this local community that have watched you grow and watched you become better and become a better version of yourself. You got to do what's best for yourself, dog. And I want to see you win. I want to see you win.
Absolutely. Oh yes, sir. And you already know I'll be politicking to get you there with me, baby.
I appreciate it, dog. I appreciate it. Hey, real talk. If it's just me sitting on my couch and I get a chance to see that Blake Money Right tag on TV, bro, I'm gonna be happy because that's me. That's straight up me. If anything happens for me, that's beautiful. That's amazing by the grace of God. But man, I tell you, I'm here for y'all. I'm here for y'all. And
appreciate that.
It's nothing, bro. And I love to see it. I want to see you grow, and that's why I even started doing this podcast in the first place, is to help my wrestling community, to help you guys get heard, get seen, or whatever. And by the grace of God, things blew up for me, and now I have such a huge following, and it's a beautiful thing. But this isn't about me. This is about you, which brings me to my next question, and probably the last question here, because we've been talking for a while, and I know there's so much things going on for you. This coming up weekend is going to be big for you. So, even though I know you say, "Oh, I got all the time," I know that you need some you time too. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
So,
I'll get me time when I die, brother. When I'm up in heaven, hopefully that's when I'll get my me time. I'll rest when I die, man.
I get it. I hear you, man. I hear you, and I respect that mentality. So let me ask you this, man. What I know you're happy now. I know you're grateful now, and all that stuff. All the cliche stuff that you should say right now and everything, like, "Oh, I'm grateful, I'm happy, and I'm blessed," and you are.
Yeah.
But what is going to make Blake Money Wright happy in the grand scheme of things? Where do you want to be? What is your goal? What's your end game? I guess my question is, where do you want to see Blake Money Wright at in 5 years?
In 5 years, I need to be main event in WrestleMania.
Yes.
That's where I need to be. Like that, like for real. Like that's where I want to be, man. Like, and I know it's a cliche thing to say, but like, yeah, for real. Like, I want to be a needle mover. Like, I want to be considered one of the best wrestlers in the world. Like, I want to be a Mount Rushmore type of talent. So,
Yeah.
like, that's where I want to be. Because I feel like if I'm striving for anything less, like it's unacceptable. So it's just like I like having those high, lofty goals. Just because if something's impossible, like that's gonna make me wake up in the morning. That's gonna make me, run that extra mile on the treadmill. That's gonna make me do that extra set. So that's just gonna help me the most, man.
I agree with that, man. So, I mean, I know you're saying WrestleMania. So is WWE ultimately where you want to be? I mean, if AEW knocked on your door, would you take it, or is it just like, listen, man, WWE is where Blake Money Wright wants to be?
I think I would definitely have to do some thinking, but like, man, like whatever comes first, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'll be incredibly fortunate to get one of those calls because if I'm being real, like 99% of wrestlers don't ever get that call. So if I'm that 1%, then yeah, absolutely, I would take it. Like whatever it is to like get like my next step, because like at the end of the day, like I know it's like a big like sink or swim business, and as an independent wrestler, like keyword independent, like whoever is going, whatever company is going to be like Blake Wright, you are him. Like you're him, Duncan. Like you're
Yeah.
our guy. Like
Yep.
okay, like you got it. Like let's go. But before I hang it all up, like yeah, main event in WrestleMania. That's the number one.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think that's that everybody says that's the cliche thing to say or whatever, but it's the right thing to say, because like that's what you want to do. You want to be on that big stage. You want to be the best, wrestling the best in the best situation in front of 80,000 people in an arena. I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's where you want to be at, and
Oh, for sure.
I really think you're a young man. How old are you?
So I just turned 27. 27 about
Super
2 weeks
young.
ago, actually.
Super young. Super
Yeah.
young. And you got it, man. Like I said earlier in this podcast, great talker, great wrestler, getting that body into shape. I gotta be honest, man, I don't see it not happening for you. And your mindset, just from being able to have this conversation with you, to me, it feels like you know where you're at right now. You know where you want to go. The beauty of what I'm hearing from you now is that mentally you're present. And
Yeah.
and A lot of wrestlers that I talk to, unfortunately, are not. And that's not a dig. That's just me being honest. But talking to you,
And they need to
you
hear
seem like
that.
you're
Yeah.
present. You seem like you are present, grounded, and you know where you're at,
Yeah.
and you know what you want.
Oh, dude, like, yeah, and like that, and like to any, like that was like a year ago, I was not present. Like my head was so far up my ass. Like it was deep up there. Like, but now, like, dude, like those wrestlers, they need to like you got to get your teeth kicked in. You got to get punched in the heart. You have to fail to realize like, holy crap, I'm wasting time. Like you have to have that like light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And but like yeah, but like now, like dude, like it's all that I'm present about. Like, dude, my like I could have anything fall on a show day and I'm like, no, like I'm going, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
or if it's just like whatever position it is to do it, like if someone told me, like, oh hey, you gotta wrestle on your dad's birthday. Okay, I'll be there. Oh, like, hey, you're having a kid on this day, but you have a show. Okay, I'll be there. Like, and it took hard times. Like, it really did. It took hard times to like wake up and to be present and to realize, like, you know what, I'm not where I want to be at, but damn it, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure I get to that zenith.
That's a great mindset, man, and it fits into my next question. But I still want to ask this question just because I think it's very important. Because I do have a lot of my listening audience is fans of the business, but also I have a certain percentage of my listening audience that are aspiring wrestlers that want to break into the business. So,
Yeah.
talking to Blake Money Wright, the number one overall pick, BMW, a young man whose coach essentially laughed in his face when he said he wanted to be a professional wrestler, to having to take Jake Omen here, there, and everywhere just to prove that you want this, to getting to WCWO, to becoming a staple with WCWO. 3 years later, you're traveling to CZW and wrestling on CZW shows, and question mark of what's in the future. But I feel like that it's going to be an ascension as far as what happens for you after this. What advice do you have for young wrestlers that are either breaking into the business or in the business and are currently facing hard times like you've seen in your earlier days?
And so I'm trying to get emotional when I say this. So like you gotta uh you gotta remember why you got into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like any professional wrestler, okay, like every professional at one point has thought about quitting. Okay, when you think about quitting, like go back and have a conversation with that 8-year-old me on the couch when I was watching The Rock.
Yeah.
Like if I told 8-year-old me I'm gonna quit, it's over. Isn't for me. Like even though I'm a pro wrestler and I got to like wrestle guys that have wrestled with The Rock,
Yeah. Yeah.
8-year-old me would be crushed. He'd be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're this close. Like, you're this big wrestler. Like, everything's going well. Like, what are you doing?" So, like, remember your why. Like, remember the hard times. So, like, I think like a lot of people try to like. This is how I operate. Like, I'm a Kobe guy. I'm a Mama mentality guy. So
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
I think you always got to. And I know if you've been an LA guy, you'll love it. Kobe's my all-time favorite athlete. Like that, I got the
Beautiful.
Kobe logo on my trunks.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
so like you gotta remember your why, man, and like you gotta remember those hard times. Like whenever I don't feel like going to the gym, whenever I don't feel like making a town, whenever I don't feel like getting on a flight or driving somewhere, like I need to remember Coach Sal laughing in my face. I need to remember, in my early days of training where I literally like trained in a freezing like 18-degree barn, like it was a horse barn. That's what I trained in. Like there was nothing romantic about it. Like
Yeah.
remember those hard times and keep them in the front of your mind. Because it's just like, man, if I just hang it up, or if I never do this, like if I never become a wrestler, I'm going to make Coach Sala look right. Like, oh, he's going to wake up, he's going to go back to playing college football. Like, remember your why. Like, remember those like low moments in your life and keep that in the front of your mind. Because it's going to keep you motivated. It's going to keep you going. And it's just going to instill to you, like, you can never say I quit. You can never say I'm done. Like, you can say that when you accomplish those goals. But until then, get your butt in the gym, keep doing it, and just do it, man. Like anyone that's aspiring, just do it. just give it one match in front of a live crowd. I promise you, if you have one match in front of a live crowd, you're going to be in love with it. You're going to be obsessed with it. So just do it. Like, just do the work and remember the hard times. And when you get the good times, be humble, be appreciative, because they don't last forever.
That's great advice. I hope y'all are listening to this. I hope y'all are listening to this, because this is a young man who's seen the hard times, who's been through the mud, and is now experiencing success. And I'm very, very happy to have been a small part of your journey, man. And with that being said,
dude, for sure.
Oh, it's nothing, bro. Like, with that being said, man, I of course want to give you an opportunity to plug any of your upcoming appearances, anywhere that the fans can find you, any advice, any more advice that you might have. Just go ahead and plug everything that you want to plug as far as where they can catch Blake Money Wright, your social medias, your upcoming appearances. I'm big on that. I'm big on giving you that floor, giving you that platform. This is your time to plug anything that you want to plug. Go ahead and plug away, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, I want to thank my father for, supporting this dream and this like vision that I had. And I want to thank Jake Oman, my original trainer, and I want to thank Joey Owens, because without those two guys, I wouldn't be where I'm at today in the ring. Also, like, big thanks to Loud and Proud Logan Myers. That dude has seen my struggles. He has seen me at my lows. And that dude has pulled me up every single time and told me, like, no, you're going to keep going. You're going to do it. So shout out to those four dudes. Just my big thing, like, to plug, like, support your local independents. Like, buy a t-shirt, go buy a ticket, go to the show, cheer whoever you want, boo whoever you want, but just make some noise, and show your appreciation for all the talent out there that are, risking their lives and, are missing personal things just to be there for your entertainment. So support your local indie, and then any aspiring wrestler, like, dude, hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram's at Blake Wright 317. Like, I will always help you out. Like, as long as you're respectful, and you show that you have a passion for the business and that you love the business, like, I'll always help you out. So it's just like that. To any aspiring guys, like, reach out to me. I'll be happy to connect you with anyone that I know, because, like, I just want to see professional wrestling being the best thing in the world, because it is. And if I can have any impact on it, like, that's what I want to do, because, like, professional wrestling has, to not be cliche, like, it's giving my life a whole new meaning. So, and I know it can do it for so many other people too.
Absolutely, man. And you're not lying. You were telling the absolute truth. Blake, man, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for coming on this show, coming on this platform and talking to me, chatting me up, telling me your story, being able to get to know you a little bit better. You don't get a chance to have these conversations on show days. I mean, like I said, anytime I've seen you, you've always been, yeah, it's always so busy, and you've always been courteous and respectful to me. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on and having this chat with me, man. This is going to be a great episode, and you're an amazing young man with an amazing future ahead of him.
Hey, thank you, man. And y'all be sure to support my boy too. Like, if this is anyone's first time listening to this podcast, like, this dude is so charismatic and so entertaining, and probably my favorite manager that I've been on a show with. So support him, support the set, support the podcast, and thank you too, man, because, like, I needed this conversation. Sometimes you need these conversations to, like, realize, like, why you're in it and why you love this business so much. So thank you for this experience too.
Absolutely. Let's do it again sometime. But until then, man, you just keep doing what you're doing, keep grinding, and I'm going to be so, so happy, proud, and excited to see what you do next.
Oh, for sure, brother. And hey, if it's 5 years from now and I'm not main eventing WrestleMania, like I said, put that in my face. Got to remind me of that, all right? Even if it didn't happen, you got to remind me. Right? If it's 5 years from now, which I know it won't be, but if it is, you got to remind me of that, all right? You got to keep me accountable.
I will keep you accountable, man, but I got a feeling, I do have a feeling that the way you're moving right now, we're moving in that direction. So when I see you there, just be sure, man, if I know I probably have to go through WWE to get to you, but, like, just point me in the right direction so I can get that interview in 5 years, man.
Bro, least I could do. Hey, least I could do, bro. I got you.
Right on, man. Thank you so much again for coming on and having this great conversation, man. And thank you guys for listening. Guys, that is Blake Money Wright, the #1 overall pick. Catch everything that he's doing. Follow his social medias. Once again, he said his IG is Blake Wright 317. He's doing great work for so many different promotions. He's been a catalyst on Friday nights. You can also catch him at Warrior Pro, and that's a great promotion here in Indiana that you guys need to check out. Catch him on CZW. He's really putting in work. Guys, listen, if you guys are not from the Indiana area and have not heard about Blake Money Wright, and you are the type of person that likes to get on the ground floor, I mean, I'm that type of person too. I love to be on the ground floor of the next big thing, and Blake Money Wright is well on his way. So go ahead and check him out. Guys, while you're doing that, go ahead and head on over to www.prowrestlingtees.com/inyourhouse. Get yourself a shirt, whether it be the set shirt, whether it be Hollywood House, whether it be this podcast, In Your House. Also, guys, coming up this coming Friday, I'm dropping my album, my first album in many years. That is The Conception. Check that out. It'll be available August 4th on all streaming platforms. That is Spotify, that is Apple Music, that is iHeartRadio. Wherever you get your music at, it will be there. The Conception will be dropping. And it's my best work yet, y'all. Once again, guys, I really appreciate y'all coming on, listening to Blake Money Wright. And guys, just remember that it is Hollywood House on IG. It's Hollywood House on X. It's X now. It was Twitter. Now it's X. Follow me there. And also on Facebook, where we have a huge following that's at In Your House and Hollywood House. And just remember that the HOWSC is house, and the W in that stands for work. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this fantastic interview. We're going to be getting that work for you again starting next week. We'll have Hypocrisy Jones back from his summer vacation. We're going to talk to him, see everything that he's been doing this past summer, and then we're going to get back on the bandwagon, talking some wrestling, whether it be independent professional wrestling, whether it be the big leagues. You already know them vibes. But guys, until then, I need y'all to hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone. Because the household, we still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.